everybody. This is Chief Roca coming to you from the Allentown Police Podcast Studio. Hola, mi comunidad. ¿Cómo estás? Jefe Charlie Roca de la Policía de Allentown. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's a nice warm day, and I want to talk to you about the month that passed, April, and then into May now. So what's coming up is we have a couple of things that I do want to discuss. And first and foremost, I want to reach out to our Whitehall police officers. There was an incident on May 6th where an individual shot towards them, and if you haven't noticed on their Facebook page, they put some photos of that. That's very impactful. As police officers, we do a job, and sometimes it's very dangerous. And when a person chooses to fire at us, it kind of hurts across the board from not only our brothers and sisters in law enforcement in Whitehall, but within the Allentown Police Department. But we were able to work together and make an apprehension. So with that, I want to send our thoughts and prayers over to the Whitehall Police Department, Chief Marks and his team, to let them know that the Allentown Police Department stands with you. And I thank everybody that was involved in that particular case, our officers that responded, and everybody that worked towards a positive resolution on that case. One of the things that brings up is that National Police Week is coming up. That's going to be from May 15th to June 21st. I'm sorry, May 15th to May 21st. And during that time, we're going to recognize our officers and also the fallen officers from the past. It's very important to recognize the people that came before us and that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And many police officers do an outstanding job each and every day, regardless of what department they work for, because we want to serve our community. We want to be able to have that connection with our community. Para los personas que hablan español, para el próximo semana va a ser el Semana Nacional de Policía. Y es importante que agradecemos el policía porque nuestro trabajo está bueno y hay oficiales que pagó el último sacrificio para nuestro trabajo, y es importante que trabajamos juntos con la comunidad, con la policía para resolver los problemas. And the thing with that too is that I want to say thank you very much to Janet Keschel and her team over at Mountainville and the many people that donated. I know that Gail Hoover was there, Magistrate Howells and his wife, that provided a nice lunch for us yesterday over at Mountainville in the Trinity Lutheran Church. And we were very thankful for that. So Janet, thank you for you and your team for that. And it's key that, we have those connections. Also with that is, you might see that I'm wearing a mourning band on my badge here, and that's for an officer that has recently passed, Kenneth Zeller. He started his work with the Allentown Police Department. He was appointed to the Allentown Police Department in September of 1951, and he retired in March of 1990. So he served with distinction and pride for 38 years here in our city, and he passed on May 6th. He was in the U.S. Army in World War II and served as a medic in the various campaigns and theaters over there in the World War when it took place. But again, I just want to say that it's important that we recognize our officers. Next Wednesday, we'll be having an Accommodation Ceremony, over at the Scottish Rite Center. And we're going to be providing commendations and awards to officers for a job well done over time. So you're going to be able to hear and see some of the good stuff that we have been doing this past year. And it's important to recognize our officers because it's key. And I'm very much look forward to that. And again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has reached out, provided support over the years, and has made our department what it is today. And it's the effort made by everybody there. And so for the family of Kenneth Zeller, I want to express our condolences from the Allentown Police Department, from our family to yours, and know that Officer Zeller was very much a beloved member of our team, of our family. He came before my time, but he laid the foundation in making Allentown a safe city. So that's a very positive thing. And if you just joined the podcast, thank you for coming along this morning. I talked a little bit about Kenneth Zeller, who was an officer who served for 38 years. He was appointed in 1951, retired in 1990. And as we move forward, this morning when I was coming into work, I was driving in the 500 block of Hamilton Street, approaching 5th and Hamilton. And as you can see, we're sprucing up the Hamilton Street corridor there, and there's some construction going on, which is limiting the lanes. So one of the things that we are doing is making sure that traffic flows smooth. And unfortunately, someone this morning decided to almost sideswipe my vehicle, which I had to conduct a vehicle stop and kind of talk to the individual. And what they expressed to me was that they were kind of confused on how that was. So as construction zones go on, please make sure that you know where you're going, what you're doing, and when to pull into the lane. Make sure you use your turn signal. Make sure you stop. If needed, you need to yield to the vehicles that are in that traffic, and make sure that you pass that along to your respective neighbors and friends if they are operating a motor vehicle, because accidents do happen, and we just want to make sure that our motoring public is safe. So I gave that individual a warning, and I advised him exactly what was going on. His comment to me was in Spanish. He said, "Mira, estaba confundido." I was confused. So I explained to him to alleviate his confusion so that he can comply with what the laws are when a construction zone is happening. And it's key to drive in a safe manner in those construction zones. It's not just the motor vehicles, but we have pedestrians crossing. We also have the construction workers that are doing the work in and around that area. So that's a key piece. One of the things I want to transition to now is our crime stat update. And I'm happy to report that in Part 1 crimes, we had a decrease of 17%. And with that, with our Part 2 crimes, we had a decrease of 4%. So that's pretty good. As you remember, in last month, not April, but March, we did have an increase slightly in various things. But, the work being done by the men and women of the Allentown Police Department, I'm very thankful for, both in the patrol division, investigations, and the community outreach unit. So that's key and that's huge. And with that, our calls for service for April were in the amount of 7,772 calls. So that's all the calls that were received by our communication center, and that was put out to our officers, and they then went ahead and went through to address those situations. And our year-to-date calls for service is the amount of 32,066 calls for service. So we've been pretty busy, and I want to say thank you to the men and women of our department to do that, because that's something that every day they're doing it, and they're doing it out of the effort to improve the quality of life in the city of Allentown. Proactive patrols, we continue to work on that, which concludes the business patrols, the walk-in patrols, subject stops, vehicle stops, and that was in the amount of 2,038. Total firearms recovered, 99 firearms so far. So I'm very happy to see that that's occurring, and that our officers are taking that off the street, because then that cannot be used in crimes, and it can't be used for situations where we're having an issue of violence. And we're going to work together to resolve those issues. And I want to say thank you for all our officers that are involved in working on this, as well as the support that we get in our community by providing information, by helping us to solve crime, and by helping us to make this message of that type of criminal activity, or any criminal activity, is not accepted in the city of Allentown. What I want to stress to you guys is, let's not have a thing of apathy, because if we create apathy in this situation, then sometimes people will say, well, that's the normal way of the life. That's the normal way of what's happening in an urban environment. I would submit to you that that's not the normal way. Everybody, regardless of who they are, their background, their life circumstance, wants a safe environment to live, work, and play. And one of the things that's beautiful with the Allentown Police Department is that we're here to make sure that we can be a partner in that, because I will always have our police officers work with our community to solve issues, to solve crime, and to be able to be ahead of that. As we move forward, again, I just want to thank our patrol, our CID, our community outreach unit, for their hard work over the time. They're leaving their families. They have things that are going on with their day-to-day. And I very much want to also say that it's a work-life balance, because it's important to, decompress, get back in it, and be fresh, and be somebody that can be effective to our brothers and sisters out there, our overall city of Allentown family, if you will. one of the things that I want to talk about next is some of the apprehensions that we have made, and our department has been very busy with that, with relation to that. We made a couple of different arrests for robberies, some arrests of individuals, firearms, and then also just recently, if you saw in the newspaper or on our social media, a release that was done where we were able to apprehend an individual that was wanted in a fatal hit and run. And that is absolutely something that we want to bring justice to that family and make sure that that person answers in court for that particular incident. And that is huge because it allows us to then put some closure in some respects. It's very impactful for the family, and we understand that, but we want to bring that justice, and we want to thank the community for providing information as well as we move forward through the various investigations. And the other thing too is we were able to capture 2 individuals who were stealing and cutting off catalytic converters from various vehicles, and these individuals were from out of the area. But astute patrol officers observed this activity and also were notified of stuff happening, and they went into the area and the location and observed these 2, and they were apprehended with items. So they are going to be facing court, and hopefully they'll be able to have that ability to face that justice as well. As far as for community engagement, the city of Allentown, we attended a career fair over at the Cumberland Gardens Gymnasium, and we were there. We had a booth set up, as did other partners in the city. So the departments were there. We were giving out some information on how to become a police officer. You can see Sergeant Leonard there passing out some information, communicating with our residents. I'm talking with the mayor on a couple different points. LCTI, ASD, the various partners that make up our city were present. And, it was a great time for the residents in that area to come through and get provided some information so that they're able to make an informed decision and possibly secure some employment to help them out. I look out there and I see the inflation, I see the costs are going up, but I'll tell you folks, we can work together on this. And one of the things we have to remember is we have to have patience, we have to have compassion. We keep those 2 things in mind, I think we'll make it a little bit better. My son is out on a trip right now. He's over on the West Coast, and he sent me a picture of the gas station, and the cost out there right now is $6.49 for a regular unleaded. Quite a shock to me, and then I actually saw a mobile gas station. The diesel price is at $6.59. So the prices are going up, but one of the things that we can do is be smart about our money, be smart about investment. And this is kind of the things that we're working within the department to be smart and really look at where our resources belong, because the Allentown taxpayer is a key component in this. We want to make sure that we are providing professional police services, and we're very cognizant of spending the money wisely and doing so that we can make our city safe and having it so that our people and our community can benefit from it. You will never hear me talk about a division or having somebody in place of a police officer, because I don't feel that's the right answer, and I will never subscribe to that model, because one of the things that I truly believe in is that we need to work together. If you look at my kind of motto, I talk a lot about unity over division, and unity cannot start with division of the police and what our primary purpose is to do. And yes, we are law enforcement officers. Our primary duty is to uphold the law. But as I've mentioned on a couple different occasions, our ultimate goal is to protect constitutional rights of all people. And that's not just lip service. That's about, the foundation that we set in. And our officers get the appropriate training so that they can go out and do legitimate policing. It's not about defunding. It's not about reimagining. It's about the evolution of policing. And I'm a police officer approaching 21 years of service. And in that time, stuff has changed. And it's about training. It's about equipment. It's about what the key piece is in establishing positive policing, and that begins with communication, developing those relationships with our community from all sides, people that love us and people that might have a disdain for us. But it's a work in progress. You're going to see these efforts continue, and it's key, and this is all part of our community engagement efforts. It's not just riding by and being ignorant of what's happening out there. It's about connecting with our community. And at the same time, you have the ability to reach out. And so we had the Earth Day celebration, and I was honored to attend. We planted a tree for the Earth Day, and Mayor Turk got on the shovel as well, and he was digging in the dirt. And I was putting some dirt on the tree as well. And it was a very nice celebration. They raised the flag up for Earth Day, and it was very cool. It was at the park off of Lehigh Street there and MLK. And it was something that was attended by the Allentown Garden Club, and they spoke a little bit about trees and having more greenery within the city of Allentown. One of the things that I love about the city is that you have an extensive park system, many of which I've attended in my youth and I still go to now. Our academy is in the Parkway, and we're here to help out. And that's the key part of it. One of the things that we have too for the community is that we have the new lobby. We're able to connect with our people out there right at 425 Hamilton Street, so you don't have to come around towards between the jail and the police station. It's right off Hamilton Street at 425 Hamilton Street. When you park there on the side, you'll notice in blue the sign says Allentown Police Department. We'll be there, and you come through the double doors, and there they have the desk where you can engage in conversation with a police officer, and you can file a report. There's also a self-service kiosk where you can put in a kind of a report where it's a low-level crime, and we'll get back to you as far as the report number, but it's something that can expedite a process there. So that's a key piece there. And additionally, we have our drug drop box, so if you have unused or expired medication that you've been stacking for a little bit and haven't really been using, you can bring that to our station, and then in that box there you can drop that in, and we clear that box out to to make sure that stuff is destroyed and that it doesn't get back out into the street where somebody that's suffering through an addiction will be involved with that. I do want to say just here and right now, I want to say thank you to Ibn Kwawe, better known as Q, who was a CRS that helped us a lot in the community. I will tell you, he brought a passion and a dedication to the job like I haven't seen in a long time. The man was able to connect a lot of people with treatment, with help, and just gave of himself. And, Q had made some mistakes in the past, but it shows about his character. He took personal accountability for his situation and made his life better. He did establish so many good relationships with the Allentown Police Department, with the people in the community. And I just want to kind of point out and thank his service to that, and I wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. So Q, if you're listening, if you're watching, thank you for the work that you've done. You were very much an asset. I think about you. I'm proud to call you my brother. You're somebody that I look up to, somebody that has taught me. There's always a lesson when you establish good relationships with people, and that's about human compassion. And Q, you are filled with compassion, and I wish you the best in your future. So with that said, we were also able to attend the Syrian flag raising. It was a great time at City Hall. We had the people from the Syrian community come out, some elected officials, Allentown police officers, and we raised the flag in honor of Syria. And it was something that was great because Allentown is made up a lot of diverse and unique communities, and it's important that we recognize the communities that are here. I absolutely want people to be proud of their heritage, because it's key, because that's what adds a richness to our community, with food, with technology input, with educational input. There are so many good people out there that come from so many different backgrounds that you can always learn something from somebody, and that's the value that we have here. Allentown's a welcoming city. The police department, we're here to support that mission in any way possible. And within the departments of our city, I know that the mayor has made it a priority to be able to have our departments all work together and be effective in serving our population and our community. And that's something that is key. And I want to say thank you to the members of the Syrian community that attended, and that was huge. We also had YMCA Community Day. I know that Sergeant Leonard and his team went out there. I believe there was a canine demonstration that happened, and it was something that was pretty cool because the people that attended could ask questions, get engaged with what's happening in the city of Allentown Police Department, and that was a great day. Canine Jax was trying to get a snow cone. I'm not sure if he was able to do it, but I think the effort was made. So to Canine Jax, perhaps I'll get you a snow cone one day so you can have a nice treat there. And he's surrounded by some young people there where, I think he's looking at that snow cone that the young lady has there with the red bag. So, it's pretty cool, and it's something that we enjoy seeing. And thank you for YMCA for having us there on their community day. We very much appreciate that relationship. And the next thing, I was very humbled and honored to receive the Ben Gress, the Distinguished Police Officer of the Year Award from the Crime Watch groups and the President's Council. I did not expect it. It was a surprise. I attended there with with my command staff, and we were able to have a nice dinner over at the Palace over on the east side off of Hanover Avenue. And I'll tell you, it was a phenomenal time. You get to see the good work that's being done, and even for those that may not have received a recognition, one of the things that I will say is that, listen, for my award specifically, that award is not just for me. I have a solid team with me. I'm not going to say behind me. I'm going to say with me, because we're in this together. And the ups and downs of policing at various times of the year are very real. So I want to thank our department, the many professional men and women that make up the department, for being identified to get this award. So I thank you for that. I thank our Crime Watch groups. We're going to continue to be advocates for our city through our policing initiatives, and it's going to be something that is outstanding, because this is about you and I. This is about building those relationships, and you're always going to hear me say that. And one of the things that I want to say is congratulations to the Leonard Buck winner, Bill Krause from the Robb area Crime Watch group. I know Bill for several years now, and the team over at Robb. Thank you guys for being engaged citizens, because that's a huge thing in this whole environment. Because you might say, well, some person might think, well, I don't think policing has all the answers. I probably agree with that. We don't have all the answers, but we are part of the solution. And so that means that we play an important role in that, but there's additional folks that play an important role, additional agencies, departments throughout our city, throughout our county and our state, and we're going to work on this together. So a fun time that we had. We shared the field of Conquest with Dirif. We had a softball game with them, and it was on a weekend. And the Dirif team consisted of some staff and football players, and we also had the people that the officers that volunteered to play, and it was quite the game. I'll tell you, I watched it. I showed up and I saw that Dirif had their game on, and it was very cool. They were able to do to have some good games, and I got to see who is a hidden player, because we have a game coming up that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But it was a fun time had by all the Dirif football players were there. Our pal mentors, mentor groups were there, and we were able to connect, and we were able to engage in good conversation. I talked to a couple football players. We talked about the Dirif team back in the day in the early 90s, and giving them just that support, because that's what our young people need. They need that support, and to know that there's a way to move forward. And I thank Coach Luddy and his staff for having us out there, the Dirif Football Booster Club, the APD PAL Youth PAL program. Great time had by all, and it's something that is absolutely huge. Now, I want to talk about some upcoming community events that are happening. The Citizens Police Academy starts on May 24th. We're still accepting the applications, and you're going to see a flyer up on the screen. And one of the things that you want to do is, if you have never done it, or you've been sitting back and wondering, well, why do police officers do what they do, and why does this happen this way? Well, I invite you to fill out the application. It's located on our website. You have the flyer up there. We're going to cover various topics. It's going to run from May 24th to ending on June 30th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's going to be held on a Tuesday and Thursday. So if you have the time to make that commitment, I would welcome you to get to know you, to meet you, and also to get to understand what policing is all about. Now, I want to say this. Each and every one of you are absolutely intelligent to make up your own minds. And I'm one to look at the total information. And sometimes if the message is negative, where maybe a media outlet is reporting that police officers are negative in some way and we don't need policing, I would want to counter argument by showing you and inviting you into our house to see exactly what we're doing. What better way to be transparent, excuse me, than to understand what police officers go through, the different units and assignments, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions, because to be informed and to be educated is so much better than hearing something and not having any factual information of what it's about. Because I'm always open to learning. I talked a little bit about meeting different people and learning from them too. And that's the beauty of establishing those relationships, because then people can know where you're going, where you're coming from, and those type of things. So if you are interested, please submit your application, send it to our department. The information is on the flyer there, and we're going to definitely be in contact with you. If there's an overflow, don't fret, because we're going to get you in. We're going to be able to work this out. If it's not in this particular Citizens Police Academy, we'll get you in one. So please come forward to that, attend, be informed, be educated, and be part of our process to be able to grow, and become part of our APD family. One of the things we're doing I talked about a softball game, May 21st. That's a Saturday, I believe. We're going to have the APD PAL Detective Stanko Memorial Softball Tournament. And that softball tournament, we hold that every year. It's something that where we renamed the softball tournament to our detective, Jim Stanko, and everybody is familiar with Jim. And that's going to be on Saturday, May 21st from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have various teams that are playing. I hear there's some good teams that are put together, so they're going to be challenging our APD squad that's being put together. So for those officers that are participating, teams that are participating, I remember, that it's quite the competition, and they take it very seriously. That's going to be at Alton Park, Percy Rue, the fields there, and so it'll be a good time. It's a good day. It's a good time every year. So if you want to stop out and watch, please do so. You can run into some officers or people from the various groups that are joining us. We have APD, AFD, EMS, Good Shepherd, Parks and Rec, School District, Service Electric, St. Luke's, Citronia, DERA, Lehigh County Sheriffs, Juvenile Probation, and others. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be quite the show, and it's pretty cool to see. So please stop out. That's May 21st. Additionally, and kind of something that we're doing in conjunction with Mission Barbecue, they're going to have a motorcycle show, legal motorcycle show, not dirt bikes, ATVs, in remembrance of Detective Stanko on June 5th. We want to make sure that our brother Jim gets the recognition that he deserves. And as you can see by the flyer up there, that's going to be on June 5th. There's going to be some prizes. Get some good food over there at Mission Barbecue. The staff there is phenomenal, always have our back. We talk with, since it's in Whitehall, we talk with Chief Marks, very willing to accept us over there. You might see some APD vehicles over there, so it's important that, we have that partnership. So to Chief Marks, Mission Barbecue, the Stanko family, we look forward to this event, and we want to be able to connect with our community. So stop on out, even if it's just to say hello. You can grab a snack, and hit the road then. Or stay, hang out, chat with us. It's going to be a great time. I'm crossing my fingers, hoping the weather is good as well, because that's always enjoyable. I know this weekend it's supposed to rain a little bit, so fingers crossed that we'll have the good weather that day. But I think our brother Jim will be watching from upstairs and giving us a good day. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about too, is some of the things that Jim was very for was establishing and supporting our PAL mentorship program, and he was vital in establishing that along with Officer Geek. And we have put out an application process for the APD PAL Summer Mentorship program. We're accepting applications, and today is actually the last day for that. So if you're interested, please go over to our PAL Facebook page. If you have some relatives, young people 11 to 15 years of age that are interested in doing that, the flyer is up on the screen there. It's 5 weeks. And as you can see, today is the last day for that application. So if you know of anyone that is interested, please send them our way. We'll be able to work with them and it's a very good learning experience. Also, leadership qualities, because it's good to start young and understand those traits on leadership, and that's the good thing. So please come forward, and to the young people, if you're watching this, come be part of us. We want to connect with you. We want to be able to show you what police officers do, and also to be kind of a mentor to our young kids that are going through the PAL program, so that we can drive that recognition, drive that connection points. With our community meetings coming up, yesterday Sergeant Leonard and I attended the old Allentown group meeting, and I had a great time talking with the folks there. Thank you for your hospitality to many people that are there. And as you can see on the screen, I'm not going to read them verbatim because you guys can see them, or if there's any questions, you can look it up on our website. But the various groups throughout the city there, and the times of reporting, that's a place where you can connect, bring up neighborhood issues, and we can work to solve on those issues, because we want to have that distinct communication with that. And if you have questions, you can reach out to our community outreach team, and that phone number is 610-437-7741, option 2. You can ask for Sergeant Williams or Sergeant Leonard, and they'll be happy to assist you and help you. So the community groups are up there. If you don't know where they are, the address for those locations are there, so please stop by and say hello. And you can also kind of talk to the president of the respective organizations and go from there. And with that being said, in addition to our tip 411 that you may or may not be familiar with, that tip 411 is important to report information, but we also have another program that I want to bring up to light and to make sure that you have an awareness about, and that's our Checkmate Card program. And with the Checkmate Card program, you have the ability to get a card, you get assigned a Checkmate number, and when you call our communication center, you can give that Checkmate number, and rather than your name and other information being put out onto the MDT, it's just a Checkmate number. So that reporting the information will be able to, if we have additional questions, we can always follow back and get in contact with you. But for the most part, if there's noise complaints going on, if there's dirt bikes that are being ridden across our neighborhoods, report that, use your Checkmate number. It kind of cuts on that retaliation piece. The person's not going to know who's going to call, and that's the key piece, because I know that there's some people have expressed concern to me, Chief, if I reach out, the comm center, I'll have to give my name and I have to do this and that. Well, this is a way that we can work on that. And the Checkmate program has been around for a very long time. You'll actually get a card. It'll have my signature on it. It'll have the mayor's signature on it. And then that way you can keep that card with you. You can laminate it. And then that way, when you call our communication center, you give your Checkmate Card number. That call will be dispatched to our officers. Our officers will check that area out. And I'm also very interested and curious to see and make sure that this program is being utilized, because I am not going to continue programs that are not going to be used or are not going to be efficient for our people in our community. We want to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of technology, getting a hold of us, and also with interaction and engagement with our community. And that is huge. And I also want to talk about that tip 411 in relation to the dirt bikes. Thank you for those folks that are using that and providing us information. We were able to make some additional apprehensions on individuals that were riding dirt bikes. And I know that it's happening throughout our city, and I'm hoping that the individuals that are choosing to ride in this change their hearts and change their minds so that they can be part of the good fabric of our community. I had the distinct honor to testify in front of the Democratic House Policy Committee at the Lehigh County Government Center recently, and we talked about solutions on what we can do as a community to engage the issue of dirt bikes and ATVs being ridden illegally in our streets, in our urban environment. And the panel were comprised of state legislators from throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There was 2 legislators from Philadelphia, and a couple others from different areas. But the common theme and the common problem that the legislators also expressed to me is that they're seeing it in their communities. So I want to stress that again. They're seeing it in their communities. It's not just a unique Allentown problem. It's not just something that happens on 7th Street or 8th Street or the South Side or the West End or the East Side. It's key that we work on this issue, and we are working on this issue. We're making apprehensions of individuals. We're citing individuals. But we need legislative help as well. And that legislation that will serve as a deterrent and that will do the thing that's positive, which is develop personal accountability. Because here's the thing, folks. Many people in the dirt bike ATV community have reached out and said, well,
it's not a crime. You're making an issue out of something that is fun, that is part of our culture. I'll submit to you that we are a nation of laws. We're a community of a city of laws. And one of the things that we have to do is be respectful of our neighbors. And if you are taking the position of getting a dirt bike or an ATV, for me, I would think, is my investment worth it? Am I able to do it? Because it's a responsibility, just like with anything. If you have a new item, you have to be able, A, to afford it. You have to be able to have something to haul it, like a trailer, and you have to be able to go to a designated area where it can be used. A dirt bike and ATV are off-road vehicles. They are not meant for urban environments. And if you choose to do that, you are subjecting yourself to citations, fines, and perhaps even your own, demise. You can look across the nation. People have been getting killed riding dirt bikes. It's very serious. That moment of excitement where you're doing a pop a wheelie or weaving in and out of traffic could result in your demise. And I don't want to see you on a scene where you're deceased and now we have to make contact with your family. So I'm reaching out to you, those who ride the dirt bikes. Make sure that you think about this. It's time that we as a community come together and not be divided. Let's talk about how we can make this situation get better for our community, for our kids. We're not the enemy. We're not calling you criminal. We're not calling you anything else other than we need to sit down. We need to talk. We need to have you comply with the rules and the regulations of the road, because it's going to get to that time where there's going to be legislation. There's going to be enforcement. There's going to be tools that are taking place. There may be dirt bikes that are being crushed. I look to the City of Reading Police Department and I observe videos where they're taking the dirt bikes and they're being crushed, because it is a problem, not just in Allentown, but throughout our communities, and it's key that we work together on solutions that are good and impactful for our quality of life, because just the same, everybody works hard, regardless of what type of work they do or what their outcome is. And in that vein, we want to make sure that we have a safe and vibrant community, and that starts with you. I want everybody to take a moment, look in the mirror, and make sure that you're having that discussion. Is this activity going to help our community, or is it going to hurt our community? If it's going to hurt our community or hurt you, I would ask you not to do that. So just use your thoughts. If you need additional information or want to talk about the dirt bike issue, please reach out to me. I'm very passionate about this because it's probably one of the number one problems in our community. But we're working on this. It's going to be through education. It's going to be through enforcement. It's going to be through legislation. Please be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I'm kind of talking to you guys, to our community members, those who choose to ride dirt bikes, our fellow people out in beyond Allentown. We can solve this. It's going to take that time. We're going to do it together. And in closing, finally, I want to talk about the 9 p.m. initiative. And I'm going to harp on this too because, one of the most preventable crimes is theft from motor vehicles. That's where a person leaves their car unlocked. A person goes in there, opens it, rifles through, takes some valuables that are left in there. And it's key to remember with this 9 p.m. initiative that you have the ability to recall that if something is going on, you turn the light on, you lock your doors, you store your valuables in a safe location. And also the key thing is you report any suspicious activity. It's like really simple. Lock up, turn on, bring in. Very easy. And you can see that, if you're practicing this and you spread it to your neighbors, it's huge because then that develops a habit. And we're going to continue to push this out because we want to make sure that this preventable crime is actually prevented. And our community has a big part in that. And with that, I want to say make sure that you follow us on our Facebook page, our Twitter, our LinkedIn page. We have YouTube. And so we're going to be out there, folks, and we're going to continue to engage with our community. And I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for being engaged citizens. Thank you for watching the podcast today. You guys are part of our team, and let's work on this together. We're going to bring it across the finish line. I want to wish you a safe and happy weekend. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Blessings to all. Have a good day.